I'm Nadja Swart for BizNews, and I'm joined by Helen and Anthony Duigan. So can you just give me the background? What does ARMOUR do?
A neighbour phoned us way down the Crocodile River and said it was an absolute state. It stank and the colour was awful and so forth. And what could be done? I mean, a question like that sort of hangs in the air. What can be done about the river? But we then decided on a petition, and we got about 400 people down the Jukskei, which runs into the crocodile and so forth, drew up this petition. And then Anthony came up with the name of responsible management of our rivers. But I'm going to hand over to Anthony at that point, because then it became interesting.
With a petition, we sent it to about 60-odd organizations across South Africa, including the parliamentary committees, Public Protector, the Green Scorpions, etc. And that elicited quite a quick response from Joburg Water, who quite magically found emergency funding to begin maintenance of Northern Works, the Northern Wastewater Treatment Works, which was what had been dumping in the river. And they began repairing these wastewater treatment works. And so, as I said, earlier, or Helen said, ARMOUR didn't start because of an intent. It started almost by accident, because we then, with what the result was of Johannesburg Water, we were persuaded to start call it a lobby group, to continue the process of engaging with the city of Joburg, particularly Joburg Water, on what they could do to maintain the wastewater treatment works. And that was 2015. So that was the start of ARMOUR, and it grew from there.
And I could add, our approach was, I think, different, and it worked. We said we will challenge and support, because normally, when things go wrong, everyone jumps on the bandwagon and starts shouting and screaming and swearing at whoever is supposed to be responsible.
Yeah. So you've received good response from government?
From certainly City of Joburg, yes.
Okay.
We've engaged with most. And when I say City of Joburg, it's more Johannesburg Water. We've actually, have said that, in fact, our pressure has helped them to actually perhaps leverage more funding, get more priority attached to what they're doing, particularly with regard to rivers and river responsibility.
And the response from the communities around you?
That's been very, very positive. And in fact, while we started in 2015, there's been many other organizations like Hennep's Revival, Fresh, which is an NGO, and others that have started and are engaged almost daily in cleaning up rivers, particularly in the Pretoria and Kuruleni area.
This sense of environmental activism that you guys have, has it always been there, or was there a particular incident before this that made you realize that it's something that you'd like to do work in?
It's been a sort of a road that went like this, starting in 1987. There was an effort, which was an attempt, and you helped me there. The government decided that they needed another large, low-cost housing establishment, and it was called Noeta in those days. And this included this beautiful area for about 50,000 low-cost houses, and we would, and all of us would just have to move. So we started the Greenbelt Action Group, but also the first conservancy, Karebo in Gauteng, because we felt we needed something to protect this area, which is absolutely beautiful. 3 rivers, the Jukskei, the Crocodile, the Henops, the Skirverberg, it's grasslands, it's bushveld, it's the rivers. It is really, it's precious. So, and that also has been a very long road over 30 years of countering things like gold mining, Anglo-American and Jinko. They were doing sort of searches for gold, an abattoir and low-cost housing, another low-cost housing attempt, and fancy estates and all the rest of it, but all of which would have carved up this area. which we felt was, well, it shouldn't happen, and it didn't, because in the Conservancy, the Karibosrand then became the Renostersburg Conservancy because it spread between the R511, which is the road through Hennops River, if you go from Fourways towards Hennops River, and the 512, which goes past Lanseria, because this Lanseria is really close by. So, yes, and I mean, then we had this court case because the Rapex wanted to start this really fancy housing estate there, Athol, and that landed us in trouble. But we finally, like a friend of mine who's now since passed on, unfortunately, she was about 51, and she got the ball rolling to make this proclaimed as a proper nature reserve, the Crocodile River Reserve, which is now official, whereas conservancies have no
official, no legal status.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So this was in 2010 that you sort of, went head to head with big corporate, with Rapex.
Yeah, they sued us in 2005. 5 of us on the committee of the Renostersburg Conservancy for 210 million. My share was 45 million, which I don't know if they thought they were going to get that kind of money out of us. And it took 5 years of fighting non-stop, and we won. And that was called the first SLAP suit, the strategic litigation against what?
Public participants.
Public participants. We were the public participants.
And since then, have you encountered any more pushback from big companies wanting to develop into nature reserve land?
No, there's always some attempt to do something, but nothing on that scale since then. And the fact that it's now proclaimed nature reserve, I mean, that makes an enormous difference.
So what projects are you currently working on?
Mainly ARMOUR.
Yeah. I think there's probably 3 areas. Sorry, I'm interrupting. There are 3 areas mainly. The one is to continue with the river cleanups. Now, when we started, we didn't intend to get really involved necessarily in river cleanups, but we have got involved. And that's because they've burgeoned. They've become a huge thing across the country in the last 5 years or so. There have always been efforts, clean up beaches, clean up rivers, but in the last 5 years, it has now become very, very obvious, mainly because of the drive of certain individuals, not specifically in ARMOUR, but other individuals who form their own organizations, and we support them, they support us. So that's the one thing, is river cleanups, which is ongoing. The second thing is the ongoing lobbying, because members of the ARMOUR committee are involved either as chair or as members of organizations like the Jukskei Catchment Management Forum, the Hennops Management Forum, the Bronkhorstspruit Catchment Management Forum, the Johannesburg, or at least the Jukskei River Working Group. These are all groups all around helping to manage, save, change, rehabilitate rivers. So that's the other side, is lobbying. But the third side, which is where Helen has come in very strongly, is the networking through Facebook. There are about 4,600 members on her Facebook, the ARMOUR Facebook. That's her private ARMOUR Facebook, if you like. And that has been, over the years, has built up a lot of networks, bringing in the Lone Rangers, the people who all over the country who are doing things, but not necessarily connected. So that networking and connecting people has been one of the objectives of ARMOUR as well.
And how, just to close off with, if South African citizens would like to support you, how can they do that?
Well, they can certainly go onto our website, which is www.armour.org.za, and that will lead them to various things, including our Facebook. So that's the one thing. But the second thing is, I think, to get involved and to challenge business. Business is often very backward in coming forward on issues like this. They see the environment as something which they might use, but not necessarily have much responsibility for. And I think that government has huge responsibility for it. But there's a spin-off in the activism that has been run, and that is it has been creating links across the racial and class divides where people on a weekend get together, cleaning up dirty nappies and polystyrene and plastic out of a polluted river. Everybody is equal and everybody is forming new relationships. So I think that is doing far more than any political movement to actually unite, build bridges, etc. And I think companies should begin to actually look at how they can also join that movement to create that platform. So I think that, to me, is the biggest spin-off of everything.
Yes.
It's not just cleaning rivers. It's the what was not necessarily expected. The friendships and relationships created across the divides.
It's bringing together the real South Africans.
Yes.
That's what I feel. And it's giving them that power that we can do something. And you're beginning to see officials in municipalities, some in any case, I think the ones who want to do the job that they're paid for, here's an opportunity for them to be of help in some way or another. So it's almost like the cleanup is the platform for something, and I like the term what wants to emerge. And one is never quite sure what exactly wants to emerge, but there is there's a growth of something very interesting.